It's live.
All right.
That's the beauty about live. That it just is live is life. Just like Gino with his son walking around with the balloon
Coming
and all. That
in.
was
I saw that. I saw that.
that was cute. That was cute. And you know what? Believe it or not, I got a lot of hits because of that. I mean, it was cool. That's what you want. You want sometimes the unexpected is actually pretty good. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I feel you.
So this is the front door show, and what's crazy is that Mike Huerta here. So just to give you kind of basics, if you're just spooling them now, just showing up on the show here, Mike and I have had a discussion about doing this show, and then we're going to be doing this show on Saturday with Candy from Taps. So he assumed that we were talking about the Saturday show today.
Yes.
And I says, no, today is your day. And literally he got off of work just like about 5 minutes ago. He's just showing up. So this is typical DJ.
Yeah,
Showing up 5 minutes before the club.
I swear to God, I'm about to jump in the shower, wash my hair, fix my locks. I had no idea. It's all good. It's all good.
So hey, like I said, what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, this is the front door show. This is what we kind of do every day at 8 o'clock.
This is what we do.
Yeah. So as I tell every guest that I have here, sometimes some people don't know who you are. So I would like to introduce yourself and kind of give you a little background about you. What if you were to meet someone for the first time? While you're doing that, I'm going to be inviting a bunch of people on a watch party and all that. But go ahead, tell everybody who you are. And
Sounds good. All right. So it's just this thing, and I'm like, all right, cool. You did his thing. Of course, Facebook kicked him off. I'm like, all right, let me check my messages. And your messages popped up. I'm like, all right, I guess we're gonna do a test. So let me go in and do the test. But you're like, no, we're doing an interview today. I'm like, okay, we're doing an interview today. We can do that. So here we are. We're doing an interview. Front door. My name is Mike Mixin Huerta. I've been mixing about 35 years now. Since my hair days, I have to say, since back in the days. So yeah, at least you got some there, Mine all fell to my face. And over the pandemic, it turned it all gray. What are you gonna do? Looks good. So 35 years. I grew up on 24th and Central Park. That's where I started DJing at. I started off like everybody else did with house music, and as I progressed, I got into the merengue music, and then from there we went from reggaeton and so on and so on. And I started with 2 turntables and a whipple mic. My brother just got me into it. Actually, no, I have to take that back. I got him to get me into it because, being the little brother, he's gonna break everything, and I didn't break anything. I just wanted to practice. I wanted to be more like him, I guess, growing up. So I practiced and practiced to try to get his approval. And I think that's what made me just get that drive, is to impress him, So I just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. And sooner or later, I was better than the son of a bitch. No, not just kidding. No.
hey, the brother rivalry. Okay, got it.
Yes. That's what made me want to be better and better, is to get his approval and to make him say, you know what, this kid got something, And from there, I just put all that in my pocket, and I started with CYC and CRX and then B96 and just, California, Vegas, Florida, Texas. I traveled doing what I love to do. And it brought me back home. And that's where I started with the tapes and the CDs. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. I'm doing it still today, not as much as I was doing it before, because I'm an assistant manager at T-Mobile, but I still do it because I love it. And I branched out with my clothes that I got right now. And I would get into shoes and backpacks, and I still distribute my music and sell it and stuff too. So I know I moved to Texas, but my heart never left Chicago. So I really and truly deeply love, the scene, the food, my family's still there. So to me, music is a lot. It's almost everything to me besides my family, but it plays a huge part in my life. And if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be a gangbanger. I'd probably be dead. I'd probably be hooked on drugs more than I am now. I'm just kidding. No, but it's a part of me that I just can't get rid of. Right? I'm always sharpening that tool, and I love it because I always think, that was terrible. I could do better than that. I mean, everyone, what are you talking about? That sounds great. I'm like, no, that can sound better than that. So I just, keep moving and moving and moving and going forward. And I got shirts, I got hats, you name it, I got it all. And I just love to do it. I just love to do it.
Well, so and a little unfair to you because I had your brother here, one of the first guys that did the show with me. So he kind of gave me
he jumped in for Hernandez.
Right. And he gave me some info about you and, and ironically with George Tamez and stuff like that. And that was that was pretty amazing story because I grew up right there and you guys, I was hanging out with George and hanging out with Mario Reyes. And it's funny because George and I went to grammar school together. So it was kind of that whole aspect. So I'm guessing you're probably the same age as me then. It's because I graduated in, was it 78 in Blessed Agnes?
78? No, I graduated in 80.
Okay. So there's two. So I graduated 78. I wasn't a DJ per se, because I went to Brother Rice, and if you heard the story that I got, I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. And freshman
as we
year,
all did growing up, yeah.
Right. And it was until I was brought, like literally my dad said, you got to get him out of the neighborhood. Because I wasn't doing this, nothing nefarious or anything like that. The big word of the day, okay? And then I went to.
Hold on, let me go look that one up really quick.
so you can Google it.
Yes. Does it got a P? Does it got a P in it?
That's a PH. It's a PH.
Yeah. Something in there.
So then I moved out of the neighborhood, and if you remember, when you moved out of the neighborhood, kind of your friends would be like, he left the hood, he left the hood. Yeah. And then the worst part about it is I'm
the one that's saying, take me with you, please take me with you.
But I ended up on 25th and Oakley out of 26th Street. So I'm in the hood of the opposite gangs per se. And I remember I used to come back every so often and they would ask me, are you hanging out with this guy, that guy, which is opposing gangs? And I go, no, man, I'm playing basketball now. I honestly ended up being an honor roll student at De La Salle, stuff like that. It was just 180 on everything. But I remember that's where I fell in love with DJing. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, it wasn't so much as it was.
Did you say you fell in love with DJ? Is that a guy that I'm not worried about? It's okay. DJ, we're 2020. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, after all these years, I'm coming out. Okay. So it was because three things happened at the same time. It was the DJ, it was the basketball, and it was the breakdancing. Three things happened simultaneously. And I was doing good in school. And I think what happened was that I didn't have the distraction because literally over there on 25th and Oakley, if you know the neighborhood, is all Italian guys. So I was the outsider, and they would I didn't have anybody to hang out with anymore. I mean, literally, because growing up on 26th Street, you could go from every block and there'd be a new person, and everybody, from my Joanne Montes, which is right there on Ridgeway, and to the guys next door in Avers, and the guy, and then all the way, every block there was
somebody
I don't mean gang like that, but it was just a gang of guys that everybody knew, guys and girls. And so here I was, and that's where I fell in love with the aspect of DJing. But since you were kind of locked in there, what made you decide to I want to grab a record and I want to put it on a turntable, and I want what made you want to do this? I mean, did you hear somebody, see somebody? What did you do?
My brother, that's the influence that I got, was my brother. there was Geeky V, there was just everybody that my brother hung around with, basically DJ'd. So that's where I got my inspiration from. That's where I just wanted to be, like I said, I just wanted to be like my brother, DJing with the records. And it took me maybe, I'd say 2 weeks of messing with the record and trying to get it on beat and looking at my brother like, that was on beat, right? And he's like, yeah, keep trying. Don't use your fingers, use the pitch. Don't use your fingers, use your pitch. Don't use your fingers, use your pitch. I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right. And I use the pitch, and you got to, figure it out what's fast and what's slow. And I think that after I got that, I'm like, you know what else can I do? I like the way Geeky scratches with the record. So that was my next step. After 2 weeks of learning how to do the getting it on beat, then that's all I did. All that. I just kept at it and kept at it. And sooner or later, that was my thing. Back then, I was known for scratching. Mixing, yes, of course. Remixing, yeah. But now scratching was my thing. So that's what set me apart from everybody else that was doing it, because now I got that little thing going with the scratching.
Oh, okay. So that was your that different than any of the guys that were in the neighborhood doing what they were doing. It was scratching.
What was that?
Tell me if because I'm bringing back some memories, and you're kicking off memories that I have. There was a guy that used to do mobiles. I think I must have been in 7th grade or 6th grade. His name was Noel Rivera. Do you remember?
Don't ring a bell.
Okay. So if George was still alive, he would remember because his brother Jimmy Rivera used to go there, and I remember Jimmy and his sister, and they're friends with me on Facebook, and I remember Noel. He had to have been about 6 years older than us, and you probably 8 years older. So he was already, and I remember he lived between Millard, between 25th and 26th, and I remember first time seeing somebody with turntables, and he would play music, but I didn't even like. It was like, oh, okay, he's a DJ, big deal, I didn't even think about music wise and stuff like that. When you got into the scratching part about it, right?
Yeah.
Was it the wow factor that all of a sudden everybody was like, wow, you're making music, with just scratching and stuff like that? Was that where all the girls were like, oh, Mike, wow.
I think back then, I didn't think the girls give a rat's ass what you were really doing when it came to DJing. At least for me, I mean, for me, it was more just with the guys DJing, making a lot of good cash doing it. I mean, you were like 15, 16 years old, and people are paying you money to go do, whatever you got to do. And we started with the Blessed Agnes, and that was a good chunk of change every month. I was buying clothes and just doing stuff that an average 15, 16-year-old wouldn't have money to do. And I was just doing everything, going into clubs on 26th Street and 123s, and just they'd stick me in the back room and I'd do my thing, and they stick me to get back out. I never went out to the floor or nothing. I just did my thing, and they got me out of there.
So you were doing mobile and you were doing a nightclub thing at 16, 17?
16? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All thanks to my brother. My brother. What's that?
I said, and what was what would be your first club that you would say like, oh yeah, did you have a residence, or was it just?
No. I was floating like a whore everywhere. I had my roots weren't anywhere. Yeah. There was this place, I forgot the name of, Jesus Christ. It was on 26. That's like the very first place that I played at. My brother took me there. Oh man, it's closed down now, but it turned into a restaurant, but it was a little club before. I forgot the name of the place. It was on 26 and maybe Trumbull in that area.
Yeah, 26 in Trouble, right in the corner there. Yes.
Yeah.
It turned into a restaurant.
Yeah,
mariachis. They were doing mariachis there. Yes.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was like a little club.
Somebody will tell us what it is.
Somebody will tell us. Maybe my brother knows these things like this. So I'd be like, I have no slight. I was a kid. I don't know. They take me to places. They snuck me in. I did what I did, and they snuck me back out. I felt like I was kidnapped, but I got paid. That's what counted.
I mean, and that's one of these I got to understand. 15, 16 years old, getting paid to do something you love to do. And, so after that, let's say you're turning 17, You mentioned
Yeah.
about 1, 2, 3s and stuff like that. You were going to
Yeah.
different clubs here and there.
Yeah.
Where does Mike Mixing Huerta get his namesake?
Woo.
Or where does that?
Oh, and I told the person where I got it from. Okay, so when I lived in Chicago, everybody's heard of Mickey Mixin Oliver. His is Mixing. I changed it to Mixin. So,
Okay.
but that's where I got my name from. It's from Mickey. And I told Mickey, you know, growing up listening to you, you have Mickey. My name is Mike. Yours is Mixin. And I went through so many names. Mike, the kid can scratch Huerta, Mike, the whiz kid. And I stuck with Mike Mixin Huerta. That was like the easiest one that rang a bell to me. Mixin Mike Huerta, Mickey, Mike Mixin Huerta. At one point in time, I had my first name is John. My brother's first name is John. My sister's name is John. I'm just kidding. It's not John, but that's a joke we always say. But I put my name as Jumpin' John Michael because I wanted to use my name John in there. Yeah. Jumpin' John Michael. And I made my first cassette. It was a green kick mix #1, Jumpin' John Michael. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what? It's too long. And Mike Mixin Huerta is not any shorter, but I guess that one flowed better for me. So I went from Jumpin' John Michael to Mike Mixin Huerta. So, and that name stuck for me for years. I changed it throughout the years, maybe MXXN, MIXXXN, but I said, you know what, let me go back to what my real name is.
Wait, you're trying to get into porn or something?
Hey,
MIXX.
I got the part for it, if you know. Never mind.
That's TMI. Okay.
Yeah. They call me Magic Mike on the side. What are you gonna do?
Okay. Ladies, if you're watching.
No, I'm married. I am happily married. You know, that's one of the reasons why I got married, you know. But no, I am happily married. I have 2 children with 3 grandchildren as well, too. And I love them all to pieces. So, ladies, whatever the case is, I'm off the table.
That's cool. So when do you transition over from, 17, 18? So when do you get into, do you ever get a residence, or you're just doing all these bobos, and are you doing?
No, yeah, everywhere. That's in the beginning. It was the only residency that my brother and I had was at the BA dance. We had that once or twice a month, and that was the only thing that we really did at, you know, regardless of what weather is, we're doing that maybe once, twice a month, and our weddings and cotillions and yada, yada, yada. As growing up later down the line, I would do like Buzz Bomb and there's a few other clubs, but never really having my feet down into it. I did it permanently at Tequilas and Chicas for like maybe 6-7 years. I didn't work at all. I didn't do any kind of T-Mobile or any kind of side gigs. I did at Best Buy for a couple of years, but when I did Tequilas and Chicas, TNC, I was there resident DJ Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we gave a night to John Hernandez, and it was whatever the case was, I was there every week. If I was not looking over the entertainment, I was getting entertainment, or I was just there maintaining everything when it came to just the music.
So you had mentioned also about CYC. Were you part of the crew with Pablo and them, or was it the Gina Rock and Romo crew? Or I mean, where do you fit into the CYC aspect of it?
Friday nights at 12 o'clock in the morning, that's a slot that Magic Juan needed help on. Michelle did, I think, from 10 to 11, and I was doing 12 to 1. And I think I was like 17 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I was around that age. And it was, for me, you know, it was late on a Friday night, and I couldn't keep up with it. And I'd fall asleep. If I was there, I'd try to, you know, stay up and do my thing. If not, I'd fall asleep, and I couldn't get up to get there at 12. So I had to tell Juan, I can't do it no more. I just can't wake up and get it done. Michelle kept at it, and of course she went to B96, and now she's on US 99, and I still
wait, stop right there before you say. So you keep saying Michelle, but in case people don't know what she goes by, like, because I knew her as Michelle A. That was what I knew her back in the days. I know it's Michelle.
CYC, that's
Michelle. But in case you guys, what's her call name now?
I don't know when she changed it from Michelle to Michelle A, but now her name is Candy. But she was
Candy.
on the show before me, and she would call me and she like, you're supposed to be here, and or she would call and I wouldn't answer because I'd be sleeping. So I couldn't do it to Juan anymore. I said, Juan, bro, it's 12 to 1 and I fall asleep. I can't stay up to do it. I'd love to do it, but and when I did do it, I had a great time doing it. I enjoyed it so much. I was the control board and everything, putting on the records and all that was fun, fine, dandy. It
So you were
wasn't
doing
difficult at
mostly,
all.
were you engineering? Is that what you were doing over
Yes,
there?
I was.
Okay.
When you're at CYC, you are the engineer, you are the DJ, you are the producer, you're everything there, and it was fun. I got to learn how to use control board. I got to learn to do everything. At 17 years old, Juan's like, yeah, this is the button here, and Juan, of course, everyone knows Magic Juan is blind, but he knew where everything was at.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say because like I
Yeah.
said,
He knew it like the back of his hand. He like, Mike, this is the control board here. This is the volume for everything here. If you ever have trouble, this is the main reset button right here. I'm just looking, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy knows everything. He's not even, he doesn't know where everything's at, but he knows where everything is at. So I did that for a couple of months. And during that time, and even after that time, I would hand in my mixes. They weren't every week like Gino handed in his mixes every week. I would be busy doing my own DJing thing as well too, and once in a while I'd stop in and hand in the mix. And when I handed in the mix, they make sure they played it either on CYC or CRX, either one of them. I handed in the mix, boom, it was played. I was grateful for that. I wasn't doing it all the time like everybody else was, but whenever I did hand it, they would definitely play it, and I was grateful for that.
So when did you get into now? And I'm guessing this is the transition that happens. Is that somebody says to you, "Hey, man, why don't you make a mixtape?" Is that what happens afterwards?
Well, I lived in California for like maybe 5 years with I call them my family. They're like my brothers down there, Alex and Tony and the other Tony. And they took me under their wing. Okay, let me tell you a story. My brother and I were doing dances over here, BA dances and whatnot. And they called my brother, one of the guys that used to live here, moved to California. And he told my brother, hey, we want to throw a party down here. We want you guys to come DJ down here. And we're like, man, what do they know about house music over there? And he's like, no, that's what we want. We want to bring, they know a little bit, but we want to bring it to California and we want to bring you down. Like, my brother's like, hell, let's go. You're paying for tickets and everything. And all right, let's go. We were supposed to stay for a weekend, and I ended up staying for 5 years. And my brother came back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like paradise down there. It's
what part of California?
Oxnard. It's in the valley.
Okay.
By Santa Barbara, Ventura County. It's beautiful place. Palm trees everywhere. Beautiful weather. Man, you couldn't ask for anything more for scenery. It was just mouth dropping, eye opening, and I loved it so much. I told my brother, you know what? I'm not going back. He's like, what? Shut up. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm staying. He's like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. I gotta call mom and dad and I'm telling them I'm gonna stay there for, I don't know, forever. I don't know. I'm just gonna stay. And I ended up staying for 5 years. The only thing that brought me back, when I was there, I did some radio when I was down there. I made a legit CD for New Brand. Is it New Brand? New Brand Audio is what they're called. And I made a legit CD. It was in Best Buy. It was in Circuit City when Circuit City was around, and they distributed, made some money, and it was a great experience for me. So I did a lot and I accomplished a lot down there. And the only thing that brought me back is, well, one, I got extremely homesick. My older sister had a baby, Christian, and I was missing out on that. And my family's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm just missing out. And on the top of it, they stole my equipment from the studio, my records, my turntables, my mixer, my mics. And I was just like, yeah, something's telling me I got to do something. So everyone pitched in and I flew back home. And that's when I started with the CDs and the tapes and just kept on going from there.
So when you were gone in a 5-year period, did you notice a big difference in the scene between 5 years you were gone? 5 years came back. Did you like
same?
Because I'm guessing that's about.
Yeah, everyone still was playing old school music. I left with old school, came back, everyone's still kicking the old school 5 years. The only thing that changed a little bit is there was more Spanish in the scene now. It was more merengue than anything. Slow merengue and fast merengue. I remember my brother and I, we did a party and they said, "Can you play fast merengue?" And all we did is grab the pitch control and made it faster. That was our fast merengue. We didn't know the damn difference between 125 and 145 merengue. We just knew that the pitch control made it faster. So that's what we did. We just made it fast. And they looked at us like, we're like, hey, we're house music guys. We're just got a couple of songs of this stuff, and we played what we could play. And for us, I took like a 2-year hiatus out of the scene just because I felt bad not giving the people what they wanted. All I know was house music. So it took me a time to learn merengue, the difference of merengue, the difference of salsa, the difference of cumbias. I had to learn all the different types of music. Because back in the days when I first started, you put a salsa song on and I'll be like, I don't know, it's Spanish music. And I'm like, no, this is salsa. I'm like, oh, shit. And this is cumbia. I'm like, what? And this is merengue. I'm like, Jesus, where does it stop? And then it progressed more.
Well, that was
merengue.
Right. But that was kind of the problem that happened on the south side. And I remember, I remember Don from Quinn too. I had a vinyl of Olga Tañon's Mentiroso, yeah. and I played it, and he came up to me, and I'm sure he meant it it was derogative as can be, but he says, "Hey man, you can't be playing that." No, this is how he said it. You can't be playing that Mexican shit here. So I was like, and it kind of just like, but here, and Don, old school Greek guy that he was a Greek, Don Rotto, that was his name from Quintu, and I just remember that, and I'm like, oh my God, and he came from a different time, and I'm sure a lot of people on the South Side, he was not, and I think that's kind of changed when I made my mixtapes and stuff, that I think, let's put it this way, it was a nice accident happening at the right time per se, because then all of a sudden everybody on the South Side wanted merengue. That was like the new blood, and maybe because they heard cumbia so much, maybe they heard it from their parents, like the same music.
It trickled down.
Right.
Yeah. I think for me, if it wasn't for the Spanish music, that was like another challenge for me when it came to music.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I have to learn everything. So it took me 2 years to get it all together, not just to learn it, but to actually start to mix it now. And the salsa is not just 16 beats. It's like 4 or 8 or 12, way different than house music. So you really got to know the songs that you're playing, unless you get a decent remix. But back then there was no remix. It was all original stuff. And the original stuff is live stuff. So mixing that stuff is even more control of that pitch. So I mean, you're working it, bro. You're building that floor. By the way, let me show that for you really quick. But you are building that pitch control. And if you don't know how to mix house music to get it on pitch, there's no way you're gonna learn how to do salsa, merengue, cumbias, because that stuff live is just kind of everywhere. It's not like it's a bad performance, but it's live performance, and it's not going to be a perfect tempo when you're doing it live. And I appreciate the music because it's something different that I learned and I loved, and I just put it to my repertoire when it came to you play Spanish. I play Spanish. It's going to be extra $300 for that one, and you get paid. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, I think, and I've always said this. I think my house roots helped the fact to do, because let's be honest with you. Even Mario was saying that like some songs, they were done live too. Some of the disco tracks were done live.
Oh yeah.
So you would get that. You would have that you had to control that pitch, and I think that when we have learned as far as music and what it is to play this music and to be on beat, especially to practice on beat, when you're doing a salsa song. I mean, as challenging as it is, you're able to okay, you know what? I got to be extra creative because I'm going to mix something, and I don't want this to sound terrible because it's alive on live, or it's just
Yeah.
it becomes and I think as DJs that have that house um, that training, the house music,
Yeah.
I
That,
think
you got
we
ear.
have
You
an
gotta have that
advantage.
ear.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest advantage, because I'm talking to a lot of Latin DJs, a lot of Latin DJs that I know, they went in Latin on the jump, okay?
Yeah.
Whereas you got some DJs that had the dance music, house music, and they went into Latin. Dude, those are the guys that are successful. I know
Yeah.
one guy here, Edgar Marquez. Dude, he was a rocker. He was the fog hat and all the, a rock stuff. But he liked the music, and he used to play guitar. And so he is learning the instruments and the beats and stuff like that. So when he transitioned from rock music, and I'm talking about English rock music, to Latin music, he was able to pick up because he's listening to the beats, the music and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So hence what we talked about, the musicality. We had the musicality built into us because we had to learn that
Wait.
from
Wait. What is it?
records.
Musicality. How do you spell that one? Is there a P in that one too?
It's musicalicious, expialidocious.
Super califragilistic expialidocious. Got it.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
So I think that's what helped, is because and I know as a house DJ, that's why I got into some production, and I think like when you do the mix tapes like you did, you had to learn production. And because
Yeah.
it's not just like you're not doing live, everything's not live when you're doing a mix tape and stuff like that. You have to learn
Yeah.
kind of the programs, how to produce the mix and put it together. And
Go ahead.
sometimes you know that it doesn't fit. It's not like
Yeah.
it's simple, boom, 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 and
Yeah.
it falls into place. We have to fix it. We got to do things, and we got to stretch that out and put that together and shrink that up and stuff like that.
That
So
brings. I mean, I remember Gino was saying he used the Tascam 424, and that's the first thing I used was a Tascam 424. It's takes regular cassettes, not this color, but Kick Mix number 7, which is on my Huerta Mix app. Just by the way, everybody. So if you guys want to get that tape, just a little plug there. It would take a regular cassette, and that's what you would make your mixes on. It was about $500 for the machine itself. Not the best quality because it's on a tape, got a lot of hits on it, but that's what a lot of people started on, or reel to reel. There's a lot of cutting and splicing and taping, putting back together, which that machine is like maybe like $2,000, $1,500. I didn't want to get into all that, so I started with that. Then from there, I went into this rolling machine. It was a portable machine where it's all digital, so the sound was better, but it was so big of a machine and clunky with knobs, and editing wasn't perfect and stuff. So I had that for a year. Everything that I bought at a what is that DJ place everybody buys their equipment at?
There's more trade. There was more trade on 63rd.
No, Guitar Center.
Guitar. Wow.
Everything. Yeah, Guitar Center. I bought everything. My buddy Romeo, God rest his soul, he worked there, and he's like, Mike, this is what. Okay, I'll take one of those. Okay, and everything I sold was at Hot Jams. So Andre's like, what do you need? I'm like, I need to get rid of this because I need to get this. He's like, well, we're throwing it in the case. You want to sign it? Probably, sell a little bit more. I said, you probably get like $5 more with my signature. Somebody pissed off because I wrote on the damn thing. He starts laughing like, no, whatever you want to do, Mike, I'll sell it for you. I'll make maybe $25 off of it, but this is how much you want. This is how much I'll make sure you get for it, and I'll try to make something off the top. I wish I never sold it, but because now I think back, that was my baby, my Tascam 424.
Wait.
But
I remember he had it in the case there.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I felt like Andre and I were like really, really close. I'd go to his house. God rest his soul, his dad, and I knew his mom, and I remember one day he's like, Mike, I heard your Kick Mix number 1. Let's go to your house, and I want to see what you're working with. I'm like, all right. And he came to my house, my parents' house back in the days, and goes to my room, and all I had was my Tascam 424 on this folding white table my 2 turntables, my mixer, and a little cheap, like I don't even know what the name brand was it, but that's where I did my samples with, and it was just something really cheap. And he's like, "Damn, Mike, yeah, that's it, bro. That's all I got." He's like, "I guess it's not what you have; it's how you work it." And like, I work that motherfucker like a bee, bro. I mean, I work it hard. He's like, "Man, well, just keep doing your thing," and we just laughed about it because I didn't have. That's all I had was, not the best stuff, but I used the best I could. And then I got into Sony Vegas program. It's a software program. I talked with Kenny Jason. He's like, "Yeah, that's what I use. I have this new version." I'm like, "I have the same version, version I think 11 or 12." He's like, "Man, they're like on version 17, Mike." I'm like, it does what I need it to do. The sound is beautiful. The editing is precise. I just need a computer that can handle all that because my shit keeps on crashing. So, I had to update my computer to fit all the size of the program, the size of all the music that's going to be stuck inside of it as well, too. And then later down the line, I'm learning, you can get a hard drive to save all your crap in for your computer and your laptop and stop crashing. So that's what I did. I bought a hard drive and I still use Sony Vegas to this day. I don't make many mixes, but whatever mixes that I do or whatever promotions that I do, it's all going to be revolved around Sony Vegas. And I think everybody, Mike Kaz from the Mix Shop showed me how to use my rolling machine. He showed me how to use my 424 Tascam. I mean, everybody was very, like, now with this pandemic, everyone has a heart of gold, doing their live DJs and supporting everybody. That's the way it was even for me back in the days, teaching me how to use all my programs. I loved it.
Well,
I love music and I love hanging around with people that did music.
well, I can tell you my mixtape story of my first two. I didn't know anything about Tascam, didn't know anything about programs. So those first two were live mixes. Those were all live mixes. Those first
Wow.
two.
That explains a lot, buddy.
They just and for the first of its kind, it was great.
Yeah.
Nobody, for the first of its kind. So there was nothing that people can compare it to. Well, I mean,
it was all live. I heard it. I remember Joanne.
Right,
Joanne was like, my cousin, he can CDs and da-da-da. Oh, like, oh, that's good. Da-da-da. Who? I know that guy. Yeah, okay, it's good.
Right,
good.
right. So that was sometime. Man, I learned deck. That's what I learned right afterward. That was
You learned what?
Deck. It was called Deck. The program was called Deck.
Just want to make how you spell that when let everybody how you spell that one.
But that was the first time, and it was through talking to people, mixtapes and stuff like that, and they say, "Hey, man, you want your," and every time it was always people giving advice to better your sound, better what you call. So when I first I made the deck and I did it and stuff like that, and I was learning a lot, at production and stuff, and you learn like, wow, hey, I can do this better, I can do that better, Oh, and if you remember, I didn't put drops into a lot of my stuff. I was just like, okay, and then everybody's like, no, man, you need to put drops here, put drops there, and stuff like that. Because people bootleg it and stuff like that, and they bootleg it regardless.
They would bootleg it anyway, so damn it. Yeah, I remember that. They bootleg it regardless.
Bootlegging the bootlegger.
I can drop a couple of names of these bootleggers back in the days too, boy. I tell you. They shake your hand one way and be bootlegging on the other hand.
Yep, no. And look at them. Some of them are in jail because of it. So, so that's
good riddance. Good riddance.
So and then I'm guess when you said you did the legal mix out in California, then you came back here and I'm sure that you've seen everybody. There were like 1,000 DJs doing mixtapes and CDs out here, right?
Well, there
was a lot, and I remember there was a lot. And that's like 2000. I say when 2000 was like with the hip hop and the house music and the freestyle, and then a little bit of cumbia and a little bit of the merengue. Type thing. There was it was just, and you had the mix shops, mix stores, and in every mall, you name it, there was a mix shop and everything. The flea market. Oh my God, just everything.
Yeah.
So where does your transition go into? What did you decide to, because you're doing the clothing now, what is it that makes you decide to say, hey, well, you know what, you decide to come back to Chicago. You're doing these mixtapes, and then what happens after, like, year 2005, 2007? What happens to you?
Man, I I keep going. I think I have about 19 mixes that I made. Started off with the tapes and it went into CDs. I mean, a lot of it is a blur. I have to tell you, brother. A lot of it is a blur. Yeah, I mean, I just know I really enjoyed making them, and I enjoyed even more getting paid for them as well too. The hardest mix that I would say that I've ever made out of all the 19 that I made was House Banging Classics. House Banging Classics is kind of like an orchestra that I put together of old music classics and the new house music that was going on that had that heart, dun, 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 and with classics on top of it. So every minute of that mix of 1 hour had at least 3 songs playing at all times, changing. So it was just like an orchestra of music being played. And I told myself, there's never going to be a part 2 to this SOB, because I was sitting behind that computer for at least a month and a half putting that thing together. And it was
well, I just want to make sure that people understood that style of mixtape, because that was edit. It was just like, because
I got that from Bobby D. I have to say,
right.
I got influenced through Bobby. Bobby, he would do mixes like that, but this one was Bobby D on steroids, because it was just nonstop, and it wasn't like, oh my God, change the song. I let people like to hear the classic song, so I had the classic song playing, like High Energy would be playing with 2 songs in the background, so you would hear the doof doof High Energy and doof 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 in the background, and you would still hear a from another song that's being played. So that's 3 songs being played, but letting the song play, not like High Energy and then Gaucho's on and IOU's on and that. That was in there, but the song was just being played, and I loved it. But at the end of it, I was just like, Jesus Christ, never again, never again. And the mix shop would be like, wow, what is that, Mike? I'm like, can you sell that? And he's like, hell yeah, we can sell that. That is different. Nobody's ever done that before. I'm like, I can see why. That shit is hard. It's really time consuming.
That's the another big word. The dichotomy of the whole thing, mixtapes, is because you have to always be
that one's definitely got a D in it. I know that for sure. The Academy, got it.
So
I think I need 2 of them for that one.
So the fact is that if you have a really good selling one, you have to come up with something better all the time. That was the whole point of, because if and God forbid, if you came out with a next tape and it wasn't as powerful, people will be like, you're done with, you're over with. That's it.
Okay, so I got a story for that one. This one is Kick Mix. Can you see that? I know the background makes it weird. It's Kick Mix number 7. This one, I had a new machine that does my drops, and every 10 seconds, Huerta's kicking the mix. Huerta. I'm just like, and I asked a couple of guys, hey, how is it too much? Like, no, it's great. It sounds great. And then, Mike, why do you have your name so much? And the guys that told me it was great, those are not my friends. Those are just the guys that are, feeding me stuff like, yeah, it's great. And I wish somebody would smack me in the ass and say, Mike, your name is just too much on that bad boy. I mean, it's on my mix app, yes. So if you hear Kick Mix number 7, I'm just like, Jesus, Louises. Every other song, I just have too many drops on it. But, that's with that mix, that the music, it was more just beats at that point in time with some samples in it. That's what was going on at that point in time. I think it's like 1997. And I felt like it was boring. So I just put the crap out of my name on top of it just to try to fill in some dead space on it. So that's what I get for trying to think outside the box with that particular one. But I think the best mix that I've made, 2 of them would be, man, I just have them right here. Classics for Life. I'm in my studio. That's why I have all my
How
stuff here.
convenient.
I know. Hey, like I said, I didn't even know we were doing this shit today. I thought we were doing this Saturday, but I'm sitting in my studio and I have all my stuff that's near and dear to me. Like my wife gave me this for Easter, so anything that's near and dear, I have in this room for me. So this one is one of my favorites, Classics for Life. This is Mike Bader from the Mix Shop designed the cassette.
Right.
He's like, it's Classics for Life, Mike. What do you call it? I'm like, wow, that sounds great. And he designed the whole thing for me, and he bootlegged it and everything for me. So he's a swell guy.
So, yes. Don't tell me about that. Oof. So, did you stop? I mean, did you stop doing the mixtapes and see? Because honestly, that I think everybody went into digital age per se. Everybody went into digital, and it stopped.
I think they started crack. No, what happened was they cracked down. They started closing down mix shops and fining them for selling music that they didn't have rights to sell, like hip hop and Spanish. They're going to all the stores and giving them notices. Do you have rights to sell this? No. All right, you're getting closed down, and here's your fine. So that's what was ending and dwindling. All the mix shops were closing down because of this. So I couldn't make no more mixes because they were closing all the shops down. So that's when I said, you know what else can I do? So I went back into doing, I never really stopped, but I went into back in doing clubs. That's when I got into tequilas and chicas, and I was just there for a minute. And, that part of mixing just went away. It stood for a long time, but the government finally said, you know what, enough's enough. We want our cut in this. So they shut them all down, and I stopped just making them.
Well, I mean, it's a two thing, because I was, honestly, I had a long meeting with the Recording Industry Association of America. Everybody kind of knows the story about that one. So we talked about it, and it's a fact. There's copyrights, and what's happening on live stream right now is the big issue right now. So that was going to be my next question, is that because I see you and your brother doing live streaming, but I mean, I see some guys getting cut off right away. Some guys, you seen that I was doing it for a bit, but I just got real frustrated with the whole, and I understand what they're doing. It's all about copyrights and stuff like that. It's
about money.
Right. They need to monetize it, because that's what the problem is. So what I'm saying is that you decided to do the club business. What makes you decide to go to Texas after that? I mean, because I guess
well, I have to blame myself. Well, I have to blame my wife too. I'm going to put her in on this. So, her family owns a house here in Texas. So when we got married, my wife's like, "You want to take a vacation?" My mom has a house in Texas. The parents lived in Chicago. Her siblings lived over here in Texas. So she's like, "There's a house there. We can stay there." And I'm like, "All right, let's go. We'll check it out." My family from my side live in the Valley. They live over there in McAllen and Harlingen. And this is more like in Houston. It's more of like a city. It's Katy, Texas. So when we came over here, it's kind of like in November, if I'm not mistaken, 75 degrees, palm trees, green grass in December, kind of looks like California. So I'm like, holy crap. I love it down here. We're going to move down here, and we're going to move everybody down here with us. She's like, yeah, sure, buddy. Sure we are. And a couple of months later, but before we left here, I was working with T-Mobile in Chicago. We came to visit. There was a T-Mobile like maybe 10 minutes away from where her mom lives, one of the biggest high volume T-Mobiles you can work at. I talked to the manager. The manager's like, well, how long you been with T-Mobile? I'm like, about a year. He's like, we're always looking for good people. When you get back to Chicago, send me your numbers and see what we could do. Go back to Chicago, send them all my numbers, because I know I'm kicking ass over there. I'm a sales guy. You're always on the mic. You're not shy about doing whatever you're doing. So my numbers, great people person, make them smile, get what they need. I'm in their pockets, but they're still walking out a happy customer because I'm getting them what they need, asking all the right questions. Guys like, you know what? Yeah, when can you come down? I'm like, I got to sell the house and I got to sell her. And he's like, well, get everything situated. I need to fill a spot. So let me know. I told the wife, you know what? I got a gig down there with T-Mobile. And she's like, what? I told you I want to move down there. She's like, you serious? I'm like, yes, I told you I'm serious, Marty. I wanna go down there. And she's like, but without the kids, we can't leave nobody else. And she's crying. I'm like, they're gonna come with us. Don't worry. They're gonna follow us. They're gonna come with us, Marty. We're not gonna leave them. And about 3 months later, we're selling the pictures on the wall. We're selling the couches, the pool table, everything's. She's crying, and I'm like, Marty, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. And everything's sold, and we're packing up the van, and we're packing up her SUV. And my daughter, Marty Lou, and my granddaughter. Whew, excuse me if I get emotional because I love my family very much. So
Sorry.
I get emotional. I start crying sometimes. It is what it is. So we're driving up to my mother-in-law's house, with all the stuff, and it just dawns on me, Marty Lou. Woo! I'm telling you, it gets to me. Says, I'm leaving you guys behind. When you promise you're gonna come. You promised me you're gonna come. I can't live without you guys. I'm going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I'm leaving my family. They're not with me, but they say they're gonna come, but they're not here. So my wife and I, the second day we're eating at a hamburger joint over here, Waterburger, and we're crying with each other. We're like, oh my God, what do we do? Our family's not here, and we're just like crying, trying to eat because we haven't eaten all day, and like it's been 8 years, and they're still not here, and we get so emotional still, And but we, as many times as we can, we're there, and as many times as we can bring them here, they're here. But with this godforsaken pandemic, it's making it hard to see them, because our plans is to go in June. But my wife's like, ever since they opened up everything up, everything's getting worse again. Everyone's getting the virus again because everybody's out and about, especially more so back home in Chicago. Over here in Texas, it's not as bad. It's bad, but it's not as bad as over there because Chicago's is a city.
Well, because I was gonna say, and you guys are so spread apart.
Country, we got spread apart. I'm not saying it's not bad over here, but it's not as bad as it is over there. You got apartment buildings with 20 people living in one apartment, or 16 cars in front of it, and everyone is a family, as the way it should be. But at the back end, it doesn't help the pandemic any, because there's just so many. It's congested with people. That's a pretty big word, right? That congested. Yeah, that's pretty big for me. That's a pretty big word. So I just wish I can bring my family over here. I know everybody's there. Their family, their friends are there, and it's just really my wife and me and my brother-in-law and my mother-in-law's here now. My other family, I love them to death. I just don't see them too much. They're in the valley. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins, my nephew. If you guys are watching, hi, I miss you guys. Love you. They're here, but my daughters. When I met my wife, my daughters were about 7 and 8 years old. I'm not dad per se, but
you raised them.
I raised them, and I love them even more.
Yeah.
I give my freaking. No, I give him my left. I need my right to scratch with. I give him my left. You know what? I'll give him my right and my left. I don't give a damn. I give him everything that I give. I give him my damn shirt off my back if I need to. And my grandchildren. Oh my God!
I told you, ladies, Magic Mike. There he is, Magic Mike.
I'm off the table. Tell him.
Hey, see, he's off the table. He's on the floor now.
I love him to pieces, and I thank God that he gave me my wife with a ready to go family, and God knows that I don't have a family if it wasn't for them. So I thank God every day to bless me with what I have.
Good. So now you're in Texas, and you're so where does the merchandising come into play for you?
Well, let me see. I have to say it came from Tim Spin and Shomer. and he had his I had a show kind of like yours back maybe a year ago, and he
Okay.
had his shirt, it just plain shirt, Tim Spinning Shomer shirt. And when he came on the
Boom.
show, yeah, exactly, boom. And I didn't tell him I bought the shirt with my own hard-earned money. He didn't send it to me. And when he got on the show, I had his shirt on, and his eyes were, whoa, thanks for the support, and from there, I'd say a year later, I'm like, man, I always thought of, trying to come up with designs and express myself a different way than I do with mixing. And I came up with designing shirts. And I have my ideas, but I wasn't real I guess educated when it came to do it on the computer. I just had my thoughts. If I had my paper, I'd show you stuff that I'd scribble and scrabble, and I got my guy, DJ Stretch, to do it for me. And I paid him some big bucks to get everything done. So when I gave him an idea, he'd make it out for me, but he put his own spin on it. And it was okay, but it wasn't really me expressing myself. I was trying to express myself through him, you know. So sometimes my ideas would get lost, or sometimes he had his own ideas, and it worked great for the beginning, but it wasn't me. So after a period of time, I told him, let's take a break from everything, and let me see what I can do on myself. I got on my phone, I got on my computer, and I got these programs that I learned how to use to design stuff. This is one that I designed myself. It's not, it's not as art deco or anything, but it's something that came from my brain that I put on a shirt, and it sells really well because I think they get me what I'm trying to show to them. And I do take ideas from like my brother, my sister, Rude Boy Rob, and I drop stuff from Fabian. He's a recording artist for freestyle, and I bounce stuff off everybody, and they give me their ideas as well too. But I design everything myself. Whatever ideas they have, I'll put into my own perspective, and I'll shoot it out on a shirt. I'll shoot it out on a hat. Now, the company that I deal with are doing gym shoes that look like all stars. They're not all stars. And my brother and Marcos Martinez, we were bouncing ideas, Marcos, myself, off each other. What can we do with house besides just Chicago house? How about this house or Jack house or da 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 da? And we're there for back and forth for an hour. And I text my brother. I knew this shit was gonna happen. What do you think can go with house? He's like, how about Jack the house? I'm like, that sounds really good. Yeah, we'll do that. 5 seconds with this jerk off. My brother, an hour with Marcos, we couldn't figure it out. My brother, 5 seconds, bada bing, bada boom, it's done. So we came up with the first gym shoe, Jack the House. The house has like music logos on it. Jack the House is in like black background. It looks beautiful on the gym shoe. Looks beautiful on the shirt. So that's one. I'm getting high on my own supply. I'm buying all my stuff, and it's from there. It's doing well, and I know. And my prices right now, they're the lowest prices you can find anywhere. $11.50 for a shirt. There's people selling them for 20, 15, 25. That's a big markup. If you really look into it, that's a huge markup. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying that's a huge markup.
Well, I mean, I know that when it comes to, and me being in the clothing business for, 13 years, selling Armani, Versace, Donna Karan and stuff, you're buying namesake, a name brand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're selling $1,000 suits, and then you go to another store and they're selling it for $300 suits.
Yeah.
There's always the factor of is it quality as opposed to, and I'm not saying namesake wise, but when I sold suits, and this is a fact, in order to sell $1,000 suits to somebody, you had to show them the difference between $1,000 suit and a $300 suit. You showed them the difference.
That's the thing. My stuff, the same company that other guys are using, it's the same company I'm using. But I know what the markup is. I know what we're going through. And I always say this on my shows. We're going through a pandemic right now. A lot of people are out of work, or they're not working as many hours. So I myself had my Mix app is usually $40. I dropped it down for at least 2 weeks to $25. And still that's a deal at $40, but marking down 25 because I know what's going on. And I want people to still enjoy everything that I have to offer, but not at the price what we're going through right now. The shirts,
Right.
they're going to go back up in price. Maybe I'll go up to like maybe 15, 20 bucks, whatever the case may be. But I know what's going on in the world right now, and I still want to express myself, but not take advantage of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I drop my prices to what they are. They're not going to stay like they're. Nothing's going to stay the same. This pandemic's going to go away eventually,
So,
and that's when I'm going to start raising my
right.
prices again as well too. But for right now, it is
So
what
are
it is.
you,
It's priced at that.
so are you gigging out in Texas? Are you DJing anywhere in Texas, or are you just doing
Uh,
concentrating the merchandise?
right now, I'm concentrating on live, and I'm concentrating on my merch. I haven't
Okay.
DJed for like maybe 8 months now. It's a different scene over here, brother. People, they know
Yeah.
what old school is, but it's more um like Bizarre Love Triangle, Sweet Sensation, that kind of old school here, or their old school hip hop. Um, and it has to be Houston old school hip hop for them to really enjoy it. So, for me, it's different. It's different. It's a different scene over here. I did it for a minute. As soon as I got here, I went to I dealt with a banquet hall. They need a DJ. They call me. I meet with the client. Boom, I'm there. All my stuff's already there. So
Right.
it was a perfect setup. But
Right.
it's just the music. The music is nothing I was accustomed to. That's a pretty big one. Accustomed to. Yeah. So it was more work than enjoyment when doing it over here.
Okay.
So
Right.
you're
Right.
like, you know what? I still have my stuff here. If a party comes up, I might do it. I might not do it. Depends how I feel, which way the wind is blowing. But I'm concentrate a lot on my clothing and my live performances here that I do on Facebook as well.
So
Uh
how long?
oh.
I mean, and not to be unfair to anyone on Facebook now. How long have you been like? Because I know Tim's been doing it for a long time. So Tim,
Yeah.
if there's anybody, and deservedly so, he gets his followers and stuff like that. But if
Yeah.
you were say how long have you been doing live streaming
About
per
I
se?
think a year. I think it's going on a year now. Yeah, barely a
Okay.
year. Not that long. Not that long. When I started off with Facebook, I didn't even do the live mixes. I had the show. I had Tim on there. I had White Knight on there. I was gonna have Candy on there, but something happened with Facebook. They removed it. They bring it back now, so I don't know if I'm gonna do it now. So watch out, Buster. I might be taking your spot. No, I had a few DJs on there. I had Frausto on there. I had a lot of people lined up. My brother knows a lot of people in the industry, so I was getting everything set. But then Facebook changed everything, so I started doing my live DJ sets instead of the show.
Right.
I did the show like maybe 6 to 7 months, and it was doing well. White Knight was great. We have him on the show like 3 times. Tim, I think I had him once. I had Michelle. I had her on there as well too.
Right.
It was a good time. I had fun doing it. Unfortunately, they changed the format, but now they brought it back. So I've been talking to my brother. We've been going back and forth. What do we want to do with it? We tested it out. It kind of works, kind of doesn't work. We might do the Zoom like you're doing right now, but I don't know. Right now, my brother and I are really comfortable with the merch. We're
Right.
the
Right. Right.
designs, everything we're doing.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. That's what I kind of see and stuff like that. Because I know
yeah.
we lost touch with each other for a while. For
Oh yeah,
God, I want to say it was about a good 12-year span and
yeah.
because obviously you had moved away and stuff like that. I probably seen your brother more than I seen you per se, and
And but plus you, because you did more to the north side stuff, so you were doing your stuff down there.
correct. That
Yeah,
was
that's why we really lost touch.
right. Yeah, that's what and again, I would hear from people, "Hey, you abandoned us," blah blah blah. I would hear
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, 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 I didn't abandon you. I'm just busy doing what I'm doing.
Just going where
I
the
think I
money's
think
at.
well, I think you showed up a couple of times Tuesday Night Boxing every so
Yeah, yeah,
often. Or Martin
yeah, yeah.
Boogeyman, like that.
I
We're
saw
just talking
Boogeyman
about that.
today. I saw Boogeyman on his live stream today. He was doing some LA techno music. And I listen to everybody I can listen to, give them a couple likes. I share some stuff. I try to be as nice as possible.
That's
I'm a nice guy.
So I mean, the hours is over already. But in a closing note, what do you think with this pandemic is going to happen to the industry as a whole? What do you think? Your
And
final words about?
Like live streaming, you mean?
No. Just in general, as far as the industry, the music industry, as far as DJs, and obviously, you're an essential worker, so you're working at T-Mobile, and so people need
Yeah.
their, so,
Yeah.
but as far as
That's
the
another thing.
music industry, so
Well,
that's
I tell you what, brother. When it comes to DJs and Facebook Live, people who are hiring DJs now know what majority of them sound like live. So now they can pick and choose who they want to DJ for them based out of what they're hearing on Facebook Live. So if you suck, not many people are going to hire you. And if you're practicing, that's great. But I would say don't do it on Facebook Live because you don't know what client is listening. So if you're going to practice off camera so you can give a great performance for the people who are watching on camera. You want to get gigs, then practice off camera. If you want to do it just for the hell of it, then don't be afraid to get criticized if you're going to practice on a live show. Because I have the tendency of, I'm going to give you people give me their feedback all the time. And some of them are like, Mike, it's great. I don't accept that because I know it's not perfect. You know where you did wrong. So I need to venture out to my brother, Mike, this was this, and that was, I know you jerk off. You're not going to tell me, but I appreciate it because he's telling me the truth. And that's what I like to give back to people. If you're going to mix live, and I don't even know who the hell they are, I am going to tell you, you are drying shoes in the dryer, sir. Yes, which means you are seriously off beat. Why are you doing this live? I'm just practicing. And I'll give them the whole spiel, right? You want to do this live? I'll tell you live too. If somebody didn't tell me this in the past, like, Mike, you shouldn't do that. Mike, you shouldn't do that. I have a story before we leave out. There was a battle for B96 to fill one of their spots. And well, I was on B96 as well too. Let me go even further back. There was an open spot for B96 for the street flavor. And Wesley, Wesley the Whiz Kid?
Right, correct.
Yeah, Wesley the Whiz Kid said, Mike, Julian asked me to ask DJs to find a spot for him. I'm like, well, why the hell don't you do it? I don't like those edits. I'm not going to do all that. And I know you do those edits because I hear you're mixing. I'm like, all right, Wes, I did something for him in a day. He's like, next day he calls me, Mike, it's good, but it's not great. And I knew it because I didn't believe this SOB. Like, yeah, sure. You're going to get me on B96. Sure, buddy. Here, just take this. He's like, Mike, I need you you're here. I need you to go there. I'm like, all right, but for sure he's like, if it's good enough, yes, you're going to be on. I'm like, all right, son of a bitch, I'm going to make it. And I made it like, boom. And I said, here. He called me the same day. Now that's what I'm talking about. This is going to get you on the radio. I'm like, sure. Okay. I gave it my heart and soul on this one, Wes. If it happens, great. I get a call from Julian. Mike, I heard you mix. It's great. We're going to put it on the radio. Can you do this every week? I'm like, hell yeah, I can do this every week. And sometimes I'll hand in 2 mixes because some schmo didn't hand in the mix. So he's like, Mike, can you do freestyle house? Hell yeah, I can do freestyle house. And I was just doing it and doing it and doing it. Can you see me?
No, you're
because my granddaughter's calling me.
Oh.
Talking about live, I'm telling you. Okay,
you mean she's not gonna come? Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's not gonna come out. She's calling me, Papa, I need something. Hey, what do you need, baby? But so yeah, that's how I got on B96. I think Wesley for that. He got me on B96. Years before that, there was a spot, open spot for the DJs on B96, and there was a big battle. And I think it was 1998 or something like that. It was me, Bobby D, and some other Joe Schmoser on there. And I was on the same night with Bobby D for the battle. And so that's when I was using my 424 task, and I used that just for my intro. Then I put it to the side for they don't think I'm using it. And I just did my mix. It was like a 20-minute mix. And I did everything, scratching, behind the back, da-da-da-da. And they announced, and everyone's like, geez, Mike, that was fucking badass. That was great. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to get me there, but, I gave it all I can get. And they announced the winner. It was Bobby D. I was like, and everyone's like, oh, Mike,
was that was that at Da Vinci Manor?
I'm not quite. It was a long time. It was back in my hair days, so I don't even remember, brother.
Yeah,
And
I think that
as
was Da
as
Vinci Manor.
it was arrangement, and going out. I never really. This was before I met Julian, and Julian was behind me. And he's like, "Man, that Mike guy, that was a really good mix." And I turned around, I'm like, "That's me." He's like, "Mike, that was a good mix, Mike." And I'm never gonna forget that. You know, the guy I listened to on the radio, he's giving me props. And ever since then,
Right.
Julian and I, we talk. You know, if I have a question, I call Julian. Whenever that episode happened with Julian, I reached out to him to say, you know, how's everything doing? He's, thanks, Mike. You know I can count on you. Yada yada yada. I'm like, hey, do whatever you need. Not much I could do, but whatever you need, I'll help you. Whatever you got. He's like, we're
Right.
putting this mix together for the kids, a USB, and I want you to put a mix on there. Give me one of your mixes. Hey, there you go, bro. I'm not going to make nothing, but if it's for the kids and you're saying it's for a good cause, more power to you. Do what you got to do.
Right.
So, you know, I participated in that with him because him and I have somewhat of an history. Tim, I've known for when I was on Street Flavor, and I try to do my best when it comes to music because, you know, if you're not going to do your best, don't do it at all. You know, that's what I'm saying. Give it all you got. And that's what I do with my music, with my clothing, anything that I do, I'm there like 24/7 trying to figure out if I got an issue or just to how can I make it better. And sometimes I got to surround myself with people that are smarter than me to get the job done. And that's what I like to do. I like to surround myself with positive people that can help me get to where I need to go. And in the future, if you need me, I'm there for you as well too. So
Cool.
I would say if as a last statement, give it all you got and then give it some more. And if you fail, good, because now you know what it's going to feel like to win after you lose. And you just got to keep on moving forward. If you really want it, you're going to get it. One way or another, you're going to get it. So just keep on pushing, keep on mixing. That's all we say. Oh, yeah.
So cool. That's the end of our show. I told you it was going to go by quick. It's done quick.
I didn't even know it was going to be on.
Yeah, okay. Well, the merchandising.
I'm telling you, I am in my studio right now. If I pull you around, you can see dirty chonies and stuff everywhere. I was on the watch. I was on the TV. I was on the couch.
We believe you.
I swear to God.
We believe you.
You can ask my wife. I'm fixing chairs in the sala because they were loose. I watched a great movie and I just got on my phone. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a sample. And I'm thinking we're doing this Saturday because I saw the email with Candy for Saturday. So I had no idea, but good time. Look, my battery's even dying.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close out. All right. Don't go anywhere. And guys, thank you this is the Front Door Show. Thank you, Mike. And we're gonna continue. Don't forget, this is done every day at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
God bless. Thank you.